We were out and about, and we were driving back towards the house. I'm like, I want some ice cream.
Uh-huh.
A big old large soft serve vanilla ice cream in a waffle cone that was chocolate dipped.
Oh.
And
yeah, Daddy.
And it was like the messiest thing in the world. I was sitting in the car. I was in the driver's seat. I wasn't eating. I wasn't eating. I didn't start eating while I was driving, but like I was just in the air conditioning and whatnot. And I just looked at myself in the mirror. You just see chocolate everywhere.
Nice. That's the way to do it, though.
I'm like, you know what? I'm happy right now. And then I look over at Reba and she's looking at me. She's like, "You are almost 40 years old." I'm like, "Yes, I am."
And I don't give two fucks.
I have earned this.
Exactly. Right. Who says you have to be civilized?
I don't know about that. It's just like sometimes you just gotta dive right in. Just get all in there.
That's true. No. But
apparently.
Ooh, that's better.
What? Oh.
I can hear you, but you're probably right up on the mic.
Yeah, I'm right up on it. No, I just look at this message. Hangouts on Air is going away later this year. For quick streaming, try youtube.com/ I can't read that webcam. Great. That's not going to be confusing for anybody, is it?
That's why we're moving to Discord.
Yeah. Well, I think that our long-term goal is to end up on Twitch here, which stinks because I don't know how to start any of that. So if anyone's expecting us to be on Twitch tonight,
someone else has to run it.
Yeah, that would be Corey.
Yeah.
And Corey is out.
Man, I sure as shit love me some old person's ice cream.
Old person's ice cream? Why do you call it that?
Butter pecan.
Fair. Yeah.
It's so goddamn good. Like no kid. Like I don't think there's a kid out there that asks for a butter pecan. Unless they've been let into the club real early in life, Yeah.
Those are the same kids that go batshit crazy for some Werther's original.
Yeah. not there's anything wrong with that.
No, not at all. Not at all.
They're definitely not as numbered as the mint chocolate chip, Rocky Roads, fudge chocolate, like whatever else is out there.
Like you definitely weren't raised on Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah.
You don't walk into the convenience store looking for the fish food. Okay, so all right. I say we just start, and if Phillips joins, that's cool. Not that's just two of us talking about video games. And whatever else comes to our mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just getting the questions up. Excuse me. Questions. Monday. All right. 3, 2, 1. Never gonna be brokenhearted ever again. I'm only gonna sing about love ever again. Never gonna let it happen. Then it won't be all for nothing. Oh, I swear, I'm never going to be brokenhearted. Ever again. Welcome to Nerds Gone Rogue, episode number 151. We are here live every Monday night, starting at approximately between 8:30 and 9. We actually hit 8:30 like it was a TV show today, which means we hit the post. That's a on-air term. We're here at 8:30. We started at 8:30, between 8:30 and 9 every Monday night Eastern Time. YouTube.com/NerdsGoneRogue, Twitch.tv/NerdsGoneRogue. Our podcasts go live, edited, cleaned up, and very nice and fresh every Monday morning on all pod services, including Spotify, iHeartRadio. That happens at approximately 7 a.m. Check out everything we do at nerdsgonerogue.com. That includes Nerds Gone Platinum, the B-Sides, the NX Show, and our smattering of written stuff that we do throughout the year, mostly reviews by Jason Marshall. And then that's where all our top 10 lists go and whatnot. We invite any and all listener, viewer, user interaction via email at nerdsgonerogue@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on Twitter via @nerdsgonerogue. We address fan questions on every show, so if you send us something, we're definitely going to answer it.
If not that next show, eventually.
Your challenge has been issued. Can you rise to it? So who are we? Well, Corey, Double Legend Deerig, is not here with us tonight, but you can hit him up on Twitter at CoreyandHD and 713. Moose, our beer-drinking, burger-eating, PlayStation enthusiast mouth from the South, he's here. How are you, Moose?
I'm doing well. He is
at Sven. That's SVHENN. Everywhere you might want to find him. Our sole Nerds Gone Rogue exclusive, Captain Canada, Matt Phillips. Not with us yet. He might be with us later. But we'll see. We'll see if that happens tonight.
We'll see if the death metal seance works.
Yeah, let's hope. I got the 4 Baroness records I own. Hopefully, I didn't need Red to bring him. My name is Matthew Keel. I am your absent-minded, vinyl-loving host,
video
I guess.
Playing.
I mean, sure. You can find me at @infinite_rewind everywhere you might want to look. So E3 is gone. It's been gone a little bit now. And it has taken 2 of our co-hosts with them.
I know. It's just sniping us. I hope there's no PSX or anything.
Yeah, really.
You on the podcast.
PSX is going to bring Moose's headstone. So I know that we had been talking about a Mario Maker 2 giveaway that is still happening, but Corey has all that information, so we have to actually push that back to next week. So
people still have a chance to enter.
You still have a chance to enter. What you have to do is subscribe to our show anywhere you find it, except SoundCloud, because we don't really do that anymore. I think we don't really. Anything on SoundCloud is super old, so don't send us that. But you have to email nerdsgonerogue@gmail.com with a screenshot of your subscription. If you want to post in a review as well, that gets you a second entry, so you can enter up to twice. So yeah, that's how you do that. We will be giving that away next week. Apologies if you were expecting it today. Unfortunately, it's unable to happen. So Moose, it's just you and me. This is
good.
This is gonna be a fireside for the ages. Let's go to game time. What are you playing, sir?
A lot of stuff. So been dabbling a lot recently not recently.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. You do a game, I do a game. Cool.
All right, that sounds good. All so right. First game on my list is Division 2. So I've been
awesome
on that. Trying to get my gear score up to 500. I should be really chasing trophies, but I stumbled into so I was playing one of the challenge. So there's daily missions. Mm-hmm. There's a hard version and a challenge for those that don't know, listeners. And then so I was doing
hard, heroic, and challenge, or is it hard?
No, it's just there's no heroic daily.
Okay.
It's just hard and challenge. And so I did, and then like you have to do it on that setting. Like you can't do the hard mission on challenging and have it count as on the hard, So anyways, it's not like whatever. It's not like doing a playthrough on impossible and you'll get the trophies for like
all of
normal,
it,
easy, like
Doesn't stack.
Anyway, so stumbled into this dude's, like I was talking with this guy, we were playing and he was just calling some things out, and we start chatting back and forth, and then got invited to his party and we were doing some other stuff, and this guy, like, he's awesome. He's a cool guy. I don't even know his name. Like, I just know his screen name, but he's freaking insane in the game. Like, just talking about all the loot. Knows whole, like, he knows Division 2 like me or Jason know Borderlands 2 and Bloodborne. Like, it's like insane. Like, knows the weapons so well, knows like the skills that you want to look for on your weapons. He's like, what kind of build you doing? I'm like, a demolitionist. He's like, you should get this on this and this on this. He's like, if I find anything that's got it, I'll keep it for you, while we're playing, and drop it for you. And so friended him on PSN, and we played a couple of some more stuff yesterday. And then I don't know if you did it, but the hunter's masks.
Oh yeah, I have 2 left. I haven't got all of them.
Yeah, so we started running around doing that. And
that stuff is so fucking cool, though.
Yeah, it is cool.
Like doing those things is it's so like that. Like, I was really high on the Division, and then someone showed me that, and I was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, like there's one where you go up to like a war memorial and you salute it, and one of the hunters just spawns. And then there's another one where you're at this this could be a territory if it's been cleared, it's not there, but there's like 4 targets. You have to shoot the targets, and then he spawns, and then you get to kill him. And so I got a bunch of them. I think I have like 4 or 5, and so I've been playing that. Did
you do the one of the Christmas tree yet?
I don't know.
Where you run around the Christmas tree and 3 of them show up?
I don't think we've done that. No. No. I think we did do that. Is it outside?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
did. You go into a coffee shop, you turn on the Christmas tree, then you run around it, and 300 show up and say, hey, it's time to ruin your day.
Yeah. We died. And I think it's like you can only do it once a day or something like that. Try to do it once a day. Yeah. Like, so it's not like a mission where you fail, you can retry it. You have to do that stuff at night, So I've been doing that. Trying to switch it up with my weapons. I usually use a healing drone and a turret, so now I switched to like seeker mines. And I don't like the chem launcher healer. Like, I already know I don't like the hive. So basically, like, the hive is like this. It's like this handle thing that you put down, and little nano machines come out and heal you, or they can attack people. And I don't like it because you have to be inside the circle for it to heal you. Well, I found, like, as I was playing, I was moving a lot more. Although, so that's why I use the drone, and plus the drone like lasts a little bit longer. But I could see the hive being viable now because it's more stable. Like, I don't move around as much as I did prior to getting to this gear score. And actually, like, when you play on hard, like, the difficulty, like, they're just complete noobs. Or they're people playing in PvP builds, like, trying PvE. And then, like, challenging is when you get the real smart people. And, I mean, we've kicked some people just because they'll run ahead and aggro everything, and then nobody's ready, and, like, nobody's talking. And so, but just trying out new skills, trying to get a good gear score and good perks for the demolitionist build. But so that's the main thing I've been playing. Like, I haven't hopped on and done the daily today because I got home late from the gym, and I'm like, well, we record in like 45 minutes, so I'm not going to try and get in there and get dragged into something. So I just watched a friend of mine's doing a birthday stream with her twin sister for their 40th birthday, so I was watching that.
That's cool.
Yeah. I was going to try and jump in with some Bloodborne, but then I was like, I don't have time. They were doing Castle Canehurst, and they already had like 2 people helping them, and they were like, we're going to go do Upper Cathedral Ward. And I was like, well, if we didn't record till like 9:30, I could help you, but I'm like, I don't have the time right now.
Upper Cathedral Ward is actually pretty quick too. So.
Well, yeah, it is.
But like, I mean, it's like getting there too. That could be depending on where.
Well, they already had the keys. She was already up in there when I was leaving, and she was clearing out. But she was messing with some stuff and got killed by a brain sucker a couple times. So it's just
they'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate those things. I lose. I'm like guaranteed to lose like 20 insight to those things. Like every time I go up in there, it's terrible. So.
I mean, I got good at dealing with the first one, but it's the one like as you come over the bridge that sees you every time.
Another one.
Yeah, the one that sees you every time like always gets me. It doesn't matter if I'm prepared for the other guy or what, but I would love to like that's my challenge to myself, like get there without losing insight.
Yeah.
Which can be difficult.
How about you?
First game, the game I'll talk about the most briefly is I jumped back into Neo.
Wow.
Yeah. So
getting the platinum in that?
I am actually.
Because I know we talked about it and you were like, I don't want to play this again, or you were just like, I
will like I mean my stance is like if anybody's around and sees me online and says, hey, I'm playing Neo, want to help? I will come help. Yeah. But like there are three or four missions that you can't actually get help on. But you're also fighting in each of these missions. You are fighting two of the hardest bosses in the game. Like there are 4 or 5 really, really difficult bosses in Neo, and in 2 missions you fight 2 of them. Like in one in one you fight Nobunaga and his wife, and then the other one you fight 2 other guys that are just difficult. And then it's like I've tried them. I think I spent when I was last really into Neo, I spent probably a month or so trying these missions, just try and get just try and see forward progress. And I just didn't, and I eventually said, okay, I am just going to get all the trophies I can and be done. Well, then I jumped on PSN at one point middle last week, and I saw Ahmed playing.
Oh, that doesn't, yeah.
and I'm like, he's finally playing Neo. So I invited him to a party. We reconnected for a little bit because it's been a long while since he and I talked. And he's like, so what do you think of Neo? I'm like, I love it. And he's like, oh, did you get the platinum? I go, no, I couldn't. I punked out. I didn't punk out. You know what? As someone who's not tried it, you've tried the game, but you ain't seen what I've seen, Moose. I was like, well,
I was trying to say it as he says it because that's what.
That's it. Though that's definitely what he said. I'm like, okay. So let's talk about some things. Let's talk about the differences in the way you and I play games. Because really, once we actually got talking to, like, once he started saying, well, how are you? What is your build? And I'm like, well, it's this. And he's like, oh, well, that's why you're trying to do that. I'm like, okay, so I should just, I mean, I can respec really quickly in that game, which is super easy, which thank God they made that easy. But what I didn't realize was, like, I never really got super involved with the crafting mechanics. And in order to craft better stuff, you kind of have to go through the New Game Plus, because that's when new material starts dropping. And then I saw he's on like New Game Plus 4, I think.
Jesus.
And I'm like, all right, so if I have to start crafting, I guess I gotta start New Game Plus. He's like, well, start a mission, summon me, I'll come help you. And we went through like most of New Game Plus on that.
Nice.
And yeah, that game is still really good. But I was actually encouraged that he and I both had sort of the same opinion. We're like, I don't know why people were calling this like Samurai Dark Souls, because it is not. and I'm pretty sure that before it was released, like you or I were probably saying that too, because that was what it looked like. And then I'm really glad that game was not just Dark Souls in a samurai skin. because it's one of the deeper loot games I've probably ever played. And it's also,
I think it's too deep.
It's like I could see why Future Press backed out of the strategy guide.
Oh, yeah. Well,
like, because it's not like you need, like, they would need to release a strategy guide that would show you where things are in the game, probably go through grinding, crafting items, but then you need another guide for like the crafting or the like the Twilight missions or multiplayer. Like it is actually an incredibly deep game, in a way that, like, even 2 years after it was released, 3 years, like I'm still like it's still 3 years.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
and there's still just new shit there. I think that's freaking cool.
That is cool. I'm glad you went back to it and you're enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. So, if anybody's out there and wants to play Neo, Infinite_Rewind, come and find me.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and he did show me the one-on-one battle arena. That's not fun, or at least it's not fun now, unless you've went through and grinded for a bunch of gear, and that's just because people that are in it now, it's one shot central.
I was wrong. It's 2 years.
Oh, 2 years? Okay.
Yeah.
So next up for you, Moose.
Sorry that you asked as over drinking.
Quite all right.
My friend Pedro. So been waiting for that one.
It wasn't. I only killed because the banana told me to.
Exactly, and you can't get out of the situation because people are gonna shoot you. So
why you gotta be this way?
Yeah.
Why you gotta be this way, banana?
Yeah.
I'm not. No, I will not kill Moose. Anybody else? No, I'm not gonna kill Reba either. No, not Corey.
Not Reba. Me before Reba. So pick that up. Start playing that. It's like loads of fun.
Oh God.
I'm not good at it because I feel like, again, I just hate doing it, but again, the right Joy-Con is the killer for me. And so, like, I came home and played it with my Pro controller the day it launched. I played it during my lunch and was like, oh, this is a lot of fun. This is cool. It's got a cool mechanic. Shooting's pretty cool. And then I came home, but I was always getting like C's, like, like on my ratings, and I'm just like, whatever. I'm not expecting to be like the best at this game out the gate. You know what I mean?
I'll straight up, Moose. It's games like this. I'm like, glad Switch doesn't have trophies.
Oh yeah,
because then I can just get through it.
Yeah, because you can just get through it and be like, I love that. Thank you. Bye.
Done.
But anyways, so then I brought it home, hooked it up, dropped it in the dock, turned it on with the Pro controller, and then just started playing with that, and was getting better scores and whatnot. And I thoroughly enjoy it. And then there's like I know if I spent, it'll probably take way more time than I have to sink into the game. But if I spent like months on learning, like not just learning every level, but like learning the mechanics, learning how to react to things a lot better, like I imagine like I would be as good as the dude, whoever's playing the game in the trailer, to like show all the crazy shooting and stuff, like kicking and, because I'm trying to kill this guy. Like, I'm not thinking of kicking this item at them or this or that. Like, you kick the frying pan up in the air and start shooting the frying pan, and you shooting it keeps it in the air, but it's also deflecting the bullets at your enemies. And so, like, the puzzles are cool. I didn't expect the elevator puzzles. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I guess I should say it was a nice surprise that they were that intricate. Like, because you just think you're just going to run through the level and just shoot stuff and get to the end. No, like, there's some levels where you have to figure out the puzzle. some switch. You got to shoot switches and move to platforms and stuff like that. And I enjoy that part of it. That's pretty cool because it kind of breaks up. It gives you a little breather. You know, like you're all like stressed, like killing stuff, trying to get through, and then it gives you a pause to like catch your breath while you're trying to solve this puzzle and move on, and then boom, you're in the next area and you start your killing and shooting again. So I've killed, from what I understand, it's 4 to 5 hours long. I've killed 2 bosses so far. I haven't really gotten back to it because, like I said, I've been on the deep dive of Division 2 and playing some of their smaller games, and then this. So, I mean, it's just, I need to get back to it. So I'll probably play it tomorrow at lunch or something.
I mean, I finished it. I don't have the Joy-Con issues that you have. But that's, personal.
Right.
But I've like the one thing I wanted from that game, like it delivers on. You want I mean, as you want, cool guy action stuff to happen. I mean, it's very much in that Hong Kong Massacre, Hotline Miami vein of like having cool guy action stuff happen and creating like a tension. While I do like the puzzles, like, because that's a nice little surprise. However, my one real gripe with the game and that is like that stuff shouldn't affect your score the way it does. Like, because it really, because the longer you're in a level, like it's nice to have a breather, but like
the longer you're trying to figure out a puzzle.
If you're trying to figure out this puzzle, because now they're very simple, but they can be a little confusing just because, you have to do a rhythm of switches. Like, I feel like if that sort of separates you like from being like, because a couple of those cost me an A, and I was like, like if that wasn't there, this would have been fine. Yeah. Now the easy answer is get good, but also like that's probably like the one real gripe I have in terms of
timer. Like timer shouldn't be detrimental; it should just be a plus. Like if you finish it faster than a certain time, boom, you get a plus. But if you don't finish it by that time, there's no negative. You know what I mean? Like so then you can take your time on the puzzles, or
or if you're using those puzzles as a Jesus, that was crazy.
Like time to reflect.
Yeah, it's just like, I guess if I were to be like super critical of the game, I could talk about how the mechanics are actually kind of flighty, but I think they sort of need to be when there's a lot going on, because
I feel like it's a game that can't be too like on point.
Oh yeah, if it was tighter, if it was tighter, I would not get through those levels.
Like you got,
I'll be 100%.
Yeah, like the way that he rolls and shoots when he spins and stuff like that. Like these physics just no, like it would not work. So like it's wonky, so that it does work, and it's like that's fine. You just whatever. It's a video game.
I mean, it's almost like a side-scrolling version of the Fallout jank, where you can just sort of do little tiny exploits to sort of get yourself through, but it's not like a glitch. It's kind of a feature.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, my friend Pedro is really good. The next game I'm going to talk about, if you don't mind.
No, it's your turn, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but I just want to make sure it was okay for me to move on. Katana Zero.
Great game.
Oh man.
Great game.
This game goes some fucking places. Like they get into like, I saw it and I was like, okay, yep, that is a Matt style game. It is one of the many games this year that have seemed to take their cues from Hotline Miami and Gunpoint from years past. And I mean, it totally apes like the Hotline Miami way of telling a story, where it's just this weird conspiracy. I shit you not, this is like Metal Gear levels of military conspiracy. It's not as convoluted, but like as you're going through, it's like just the time travel, the time consistency as your character is relying on his medicine. It gets real crazy in that 80s action movie sort of way, where it's like it's kind of fast and loose, and if you don't think about it too hard, it kind of makes sense. But also like if you start to recognize its ridiculousness and sort of hold it up for that.
Yeah.
But mechanically it's fucking good. The combat's great. I feel like if you wanted to put my friend Pedro and Katana Zero in a room in like a right side by side comparison, Katana Zero is the one that nails mechanics, where my friend Pedro sort of nails action. It is a really fun game. There's a point midway through the game where you are introduced, where people start referring to your character as the dragon, who is who's on this killing spree throughout wherever they are. Mm-hmm. And you eventually learn and find out that that's a case of mistaken identity, and you play a level as the other character. I don't really think this is too much of a spoiler. Just me telling you this, I won't go much further than this, but I kind of wish there was more compare and contrast of fighting styles.
Okay.
Just because it was a nice little change up, but hopefully, like, if they stay with this concept and do another one, they could use this. But Katana Zero is really good. Soundtrack, while I enjoy it, I kind of feel like doing the Hotline Miami thing is becoming played a bit. But
yeah.
But I don't really think there's any there's any bad music here.
Good.
But while I went out of my way to try and find Hotline Miami on vinyl, probably not going to do it here. However, there is if I were to find it digitally, I would not stop listening to it. So yeah, that's Katana Zero, and if you haven't played it, you definitely should, specifically on Switch, because it is really. I had a lot of fun playing it on Switch in handheld mode. So if you are like Moose and you have an issue with the Joy-Cons, which is not uncommon, get a Pro controller.
Well, I think that game doesn't. I don't think you need to use both joysticks.
So I'm pretty sure I did, but
it might be later in the game.
I've played 2 of these games back to back. I could definitely be be getting them confused.
So, like, I have no problem playing games where I don't really rely on the right Joy-Con too much.
Sure.
So that's the main issue. So, like, mainly the mobile games I play are like games where I don't even need that Joy-Con. So,
okay.
Like, and then like other ones, yeah, I'll try them with the Joy-Con. Like, what I really need to do is just bring my 8-bit Do controller to work and use that while I play at lunch. Because I've got a stand to put the Switch in, and then I can use the 8-bit Do and not even worry about the Joy-Cons being an issue. But yeah, I highly recommend the game. I've played a bunch of it. It's really, really good. I would say, yeah, pick it up if you can. I just want to point out that I think that Devolver Digital is going to have at least 5 of the top 10 indie games this year on anybody's list. So these are just the ones that we've played and that are out on platforms that we have access to. Mm-hmm. The other ones for 2019, like I've heard good things about too, and one of them hasn't even come out yet. So
what one hasn't come out?
Metal Wolf Chaos XD, the From Software shooter game.
I've
coming out.
I think that'll probably be not a great game. I'm going to buy it because I love that idea.
Yeah.
And I want to support that kind of bonkersness in games.
Yeah.
I do not think, because one of the people I listen to a lot, Austin Walker over at Waypoint, he played that game when it initially came out. He's like, it's really cool that Devolver did this, but that game is just not good. Like, and I'm not like saying this to dunk on that game, because and he's like, because first and foremost, if you want a giant metal robot fan, that's your boy Austin Walker. But I am expecting a B movie out of this thing, and if it's that, fine. But but I am still in. I'm just not expecting that to be a banger, as it were.
Yeah. So the games that will probably be on the list that we have played, because they have other ones out there, but they're on a bunch of them are on Windows, so we haven't even not even gonna talk about this. Well, there's
Devolver didn't publish Hong Kong. Devolver didn't publish Hong Kong Massacre, did they?
No.
I didn't think so.
Pikunku is a puzzler.
Oh, Pikuniku?
Yeah. What is it? Pikuniku.
Pikuniku.
Okay. So yeah, they did that one. They've got Ape Out, which we both enjoyed. Ape Out's really good. They've got Weedcraft Inc., which is on Microsoft or on Windows, so which is basically we're gonna make a weed.
Cool. We got to go after that Wiz Khalifa money.
Katana Zero.
Yep.
They've got Observation, which is the VR game where you actually play.
Which I've heard is fucking awesome, by the way.
Nothing but really good things about that. So I want to try and pick that up and play that before the end of the year. They've got Gato Roboto, which is the one I was talking about, where you're the cat.
Which I have played and beat, and it is awesome.
So that's cool. They've got the Devolver Bootleg, which is on. I know that's on Steam. So even though it's in Microsoft Windows, that's on Steam.
Oh yeah, Castlevania. Just
My Friend Pedro.
Yep.
The Heave Ho, which I haven't heard of. I don't know if it's
I don't know what that is.
But that says it's going to be on Switch. And then the Metal Wolf Chaos, and then Serious Sam 4 Planet Badass is to be announced on which platform that's coming out on. So that's pretty cool. What I'd really like is the Serious Sam top-down stick shooter game that they put out last year, it might have been, or the year before. They've got some other games that are to be announced as far as when they're coming, like E-Tier, E-I-T-R, which is kind of like an isometric Dark Souls. You play a shield maiden.
Okay.
I think you gotta get to where you're going. You gotta save your people or something like that. There's a sequel to Always Sometimes Monsters called Sometimes Always Monsters. Gassy Mob, Paradise Never, and the Talos Principle 2. I didn't even know the Talos Principle was getting a sequel, that's awesome. I'm excited.
I didn't know that was them.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't know. Well, I don't know if they did the first one. They might have got the publishing rights for the second one. I can't speak to that, but I think that is pretty badass as far as a lineup. This is their year. There's a lot of great games on that list. So they might, like I said, they might have 5 of the top 10 games on everybody's indies list.
When I play a game to the point where I've gotten a sense of it, I tend to I keep a list running throughout the year. And My Friend Pedro, Katana Zero, Gato Roboto, and Ape Out are on my list this year. I'm not saying that they're going to be in my top 10, but they're definitely in consideration already.
Yeah, they'll probably get honorable mentions if they don't.
Yeah, at the very least.
Yeah. So they just keep knocking it out of the park. Devolver. They just keep doing. And this year, not necessarily a release of a new game, but they released the brand new update to Enter the Gungeon. on my birthday, which was awesome because the game came out on my birthday 2 years ago. And so they released 3 years ago. No, it was 4.
I mean, and chances are they're probably going to get another goddamn mention from me on best old game because I still play Enter the Gungeon.
And it's awesome. I recommend people checking out that game. That game's
so fucking good.
And it's got co-op, so you can play with people, other people, your friends. But that they just released that. They announced that they're doing the actual shooter cabinet, like a legit arcade cabinet, which is awesome. We mentioned on NerdScom Platinum.
Well, we mentioned it here too. like the best weird shit came out of E3 this year. The best weird shit.
So my hat's off to him, man. What I'm waiting, hopefully next year. I mean, I don't care if it comes out next year or not, but hopefully, Hotline Miami 3's in the pipeline. Maybe we'll see him pick up some other indie games that maybe have developers or whatever, but aren't. You know what I mean? I mean, they're being developed, but they don't have a publisher yet. Because Carrion, I think we talked about that game. And that's the game where you're like the monster from kind of
the thing.
So that's going to be that's released next year. So if they release that and E-Tier next year, that's going to be a good year for me because I'll buy both those games.
Yeah,
those are just stellar.
They did not do Hyper Light Drifter, did they?
No, I do not believe so.
I think that was Annapurna. Never mind.
I don't know who that was, but I don't think it was Devolver. Actually, to be honest, I don't want to take it away from those people because they did a great job. But it would have been. I mean, if somebody were to say it was them, I wouldn't be surprised.
Right,
it's just right up their alley.
Yeah, like Devolver and Annapurna are like the two newish publishers that are just killing it in ways that, like, they're like both of them are showing me games that I wouldn't see anywhere else. So fucking play indies.
The indie space, because AAA is just after one thing, and that's just like making money, and they just like everything else goes out the window if they're not going to make money, and that kind of is saddening. Well, let's just say the majority of them. We can't lump everybody.
Yeah.
CD Projekt Red did a damn good job with The Witcher 3, even though I'm not the hugest fan. Like, I know I'm hung up on the controls, so I did enjoy story-wise what I was getting. You know what I mean? Like, I did enjoy the world, so I will not shit on that. So, like, I recognize that that is a phenomenal game. I'm actually looking forward to playing Cyberpunk 2077. I might pre-order it, pick it up as my birthday present next year. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where I'm at with the Borderlands 3 addiction at the time. But so
I mean, I don't think you'll have to worry about that, Moose.
I don't think I will, because at that time I will still be playing it, but I won't be to the point like I would be if it was like released in November, where it's like 2 months after and I'm still trying to beat like everything. But so like there are AAA studios out there that are still doing really well and producing, like not trying to make like everything microtransactions and then turning around and being like, there's no microtransactions in our game, yay, cheer us. And it's like, shut up, EA. Like, just
I mean, or you can be pissed for it. Oh, there's no microtransactions, but there are.
There's
like, no.
Surprise mechanics is what EA is trying to call them now. But anyways, I really hope somebody takes them to task, because like they can't, like, they don't want to regulate themselves.
Nope.
And then they shit on their customers and they use and abuse them. And then they turn around and they get upset when like people are like, you shouldn't be doing this, you know? And so I hope somebody comes down and says, no more microtransactions, no more this, you know, it's illegal in games. You can't have them. Cause I'll be happy. I'd have no problem getting rid of them.
I agree. Because I mean, look, you want to talk about regulation. Let's and I know that this probably shouldn't be the way to do it, because I don't like it when people do this, even though I do it a lot. So I'm a hypocrite here. But like, look, you want to talk about regulation? Let's look at a movie like The Wolf of Wall Street. because that is what happens when you don't set boundaries for people.
That's like capitalism.
Like, I mean, that's
Ultimate
what
capitalism.
Like, that's what it is. Just complete unregulated. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to sell this man because I know I'm selling him a load of bullshit, and I'm going to get rich. He's going to be poor, and no one's going to stop me. And then when they finally do stop him, like it's too fucking late. Like everybody's already been hurt, and the person who did it has enough money to pay for a lawyer and, not necessarily get off, but get a slap
on the wrist, and
that's it.
Maybe a fine, and like that person sees like maybe a tenth of what they lost, and it's like, oh, everything's fine now.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to sit here and say that like socialism is the way, but like, fuck, at some point, if we don't start looking at helping everybody else, like,
well, I think I don't have a problem with capitalism. I just feel like when it's harmful, it's a problem. Like we were just talking about, somebody selling somebody shitty stocks to make a crap ton of money, and then that person loses their life inheritance.
Yeah,
like that is
because really that's a loot box.
I'm trying to think. Predatory. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for.
Right.
Like when we have companies that are just dumping into the environment and destroying the environment to make something the cheapest way possible, instead of saying no, like you need to like hold them accountable, and like you need to pay to make sure like all your waste is like properly stored. And we don't care how much it costs you. That's what it costs you, because that's you want to make that product. This is the consequences of it, and instead of, their top CEO making like, $50 million bonus or some shit, like it has to be paid for by the company to get taken care of. I feel like that is where we can go. Now, if a guy just wants to, I don't think we need to regulate to a point where like somebody who's like, I want to go start a food truck can't go and start a food truck. You know what I mean? Like there's got to be some balance there. There's got to be like, hey, I want to do some good in the world, or, I want to go start a brewery or go start a burger joint, and like I can still do that, but it's the opposite end of the spectrum. That's more of the problem, I feel. So.
And yeah, so that has been your political minute here on Nerds Gone Rogue. Whether or not we're right or wrong, hey, we tried. I don't know.
Right. So you did Katana Zero.
Yes.
For my, I've got 2 games left that I really played. So one, I'll go. Well, how many more do you have?
2.
Okay. Well, there we go. Perfect.
I have 3. So.
Okay. Well, Hook.
Okay.
Puzzle game Hook that Corey has been talking about. He's talked about it multiple shows in a row. And so it was just on sale. And I think it was after I picked up My Friend is Pedro. No, it was after I picked up Gato Roboto. I had a little bit of like money left over, because you know how they're like, you could put the exact amount, or like $10. And I was like, well, put $10 on, because I'll find, like a 2.
Oh, there'd be something else.
There's something that's going to be on sale for like under $2.
There's always a boat. There's always a lighthouse. There's always another game that I can get for cheap.
So I picked that up. Actually, I do have 3 games, but anyway, so I picked that up because I just thought of another game that I've been playing. But anyways,
I have 3 games. 4 games left.
5. I have 5. I don't know why I did a Arnold impression, but
hey, you know what?
So Hook is a lot of fun. Like I enjoy it because it makes you think, but it's not stressful. It's almost therapeutic, like sitting there and trying to work through the puzzles and like, figure out how each puzzle works. So I'm sure he's on like stage. He might be in the like over 100 or something. I don't know how many.
He's probably like 5 stages ahead of you, because all he's doing is playing Tetris. Come on.
But I'm
on.
You
know how he do.
I think I'm in the 30s. I'm almost stage 40, and so like I'm really enjoying it. Like
All
it's a
right.
blast, and it's a fun game to play. So like if you're looking for something to be like relaxing, yet like try and like use your brain and figure it out, it's pretty cool. It's satisfying, like when you make something disappear, because like you'll have different like lines going and they crisscross, and you're like, okay, well I got to pull this one through before I can hit this line to get these to come through, and so like it's very satisfying. And then like later on, there's like I call them almost like traffic points where you can like turn. So you'll have like a curve. So it'll come from like 12 o'clock and curve down to like 9 o'clock. And you
Okay.
can spin that at 90 degrees. And so when you spin it, like it might link up with something else and open another way, or it'll open, and you have to like figure out how to spin that. And then there's ones that are like T's where like you have to like make sure that, okay, well, I want to get this line to pull, but I don't want this line to pull, which will pull it. So I got to turn it to make sure only the top line is activated. So it's got some pretty cool mechanics. And now there's like symbols, like the lines aren't even connected. Like you have like a line going to a symbol, and then the symbol shows up somewhere else, and you have to like figure out how to get the symbols to like activate the symbol to get it to pull without crossing the streams.
That's
I
cool.
like to say, but it is a lot of fun. I highly recommend checking out Hook if you've got a Switch. And I think it was like, I think I got it for $1, and I think that's the actual price. It's no more than $3. I don't even think it's more than $2. So it's like,
okay. Well, when you said that it was therapeutic, like very few puzzle games do that, and when they do, like that's my jam.
Well, I guess I could say for me, I don't know if it'd be therapeutic for everybody.
Sure,
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I guess I should just.
I mean, we have to remember Moose plays Bloodborne as comfort food, so like consider your source here. But I just know, like, when you say that, I know you and I kind of are on the same wavelength, and and I love hearing Corey talk about it. And he put it on my radar too, but hearing both of you say it, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to do this. That came out this year, right? It's $2.
It's $2. It's $1.99 right now. I think when I picked it up, it was on sale for $1.
Okay.
So like you might see it on sale again. So you can just like put it on your wish list and just keep an eye out and check the store every week. And when it's on sale again, pick it up. But I think it might have been this year.
That's the same vibe I got from Baba Is You. Where it's a puzzle game that you feel real. It makes you feel real stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But then when it doesn't. It's not oppressive enough that it doesn't make you want to mess with it a little bit. And then when you solve a puzzle, you feel like a goddamn genius. And in some of those puzzles, like later on in the game, those puzzles get really, really difficult. But again, I never got anxious, and like The Witness did that for me too, where like I see this is a puzzle. There's a new little element that's happened here. I have to figure this out, and then you just mess with it and figure it out, and you use you use the logic that you've learned to that point, and like hearing you frame it that way, like that, I'm like, I'm going to probably pick that up before I go to work tonight.
It was released this year, March 14th.
Okay.
So it is. So that could be on my indie list.
My next game is a puzzle game as well. It is Box Boy and Box Girl.
Very nice. I think I have the demo downloaded. What do you think?
I mean, it's cute. It's charming. I think it's a good puzzle game. However, like it's pretty easy.
So it's not like, so maybe it might be like even something kids could do, like kids.
Well, I wouldn't want to.
Not to take away from young kids,
right? But like, I wouldn't like.
I
think that like, I think it really depends on, if I were not as into games as I am, I would love Box Boy and Box Girl. And I don't think Box Boy and Box Girl is a bad game or a bad puzzler. I just think I hate to say like below me, but
it's not challenging.
It's not challenging.
So you are not
like
not necessarily not entertained by it, but you're just not drawn to it because it's not challenging, and you're like, okay.
It's like when it is literally like when if I get a book of Sudoku, like if I'm going on a plane trip or something, I always have that little challenge to myself, like how far can I get before I'm off the plane? Yeah. And this is literally like the easy medium sections of Sudoku for me. Okay. It's not bad. It's not hard. There's nothing really disappointing about it. I'm just moving through it too fast. It's not putting up any roadblocks for me. And like, I don't think others wouldn't get enjoyment out of that. I just know that like I'm not getting enough. But yeah, I played that. I got through most of it, and I mean I could probably finish it tonight while I'm at work. And if I'm bored, maybe I will. But I've kind of had my time with it, and I don't really need to go back. But if I have the time, like at work, I always have my Switch with me. Maybe. But yeah, like it's. I mean, I wouldn't tell anyone not to try it because it's a good game. It's a good puzzler. It's just not challenging me. Okay. And then next up for you, sir.
So I'm gonna go with this one because I played this one a little bit less than my last one, and my last one I really, really enjoyed. I'm enjoying more. So the next one's Bloodstain.
Okay.
Not that I'm not enjoying it. Mm-hmm. I am enjoying it. I just want to spend more time with it. I think as I spend more time with it, I'm really going to enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm excited to start that. I really am.
I think I'm still in the tutorial stage.
Okay.
I'm enjoying it. I've had like multiple different weapons. Like like when you first start out, you get 2 types of weapons. You get like boots, you get a knife. And so I tried both of those. That's pretty cool that you got boots. It's pretty cool you got knives. Later on, you get like a short sword.
Yeah, I think you can get a katana in it, a whip.
Yeah, I had a whip and then a claymore. I had a claymore, and so like basically you're just learning and getting used to like speed of the weapons and their advantages and disadvantages. And I'm enjoying the jumping. The exploration is cool. Enemies are cool. Your powers are pretty cool. So I give it. I'm definitely going back to it. Mm-hmm. I know you said you were waiting until they fixed the one glitch.
Well, I've heard the patch is game breaking, but I'm also hearing people have platinumed it. So
yeah, I haven't had any game breaking issues.
Well, it's not really like something that stop. It doesn't really like. It's not a glitch that's going to just freeze the game and break it. But I've heard that there were chests opening that have progression items, and when you open the chest, the item basically disappears. So the chests are opening before the player's gotten there.
Oh yeah, that's definitely an issue. Yeah.
And like if that's the case, like I don't want to spend, a bunch of hours to have to replay content. But yeah, I mean, and I backed that game on Kickstarter, so full disclosure there. And I'm super excited to play it. I got my physical copy, and it's been on my radar ever since it was launched, and I am excited to play it. I'm glad you're playing it and like it. And hopefully I will start that the next.
It's a great. I know. So this is. What is the subtitle of this?
Bloodstained Ritual of the Night.
It is Ritual of the Night. Curse of the Moon was the 8-bit one.
Yes.
Which was like old NES ones, and that one's a prequel to this one, and that one's equally as good. So this is a really good follow up to that.
Yeah.
So definitely check it out if you like. I've been hearing, it's like plays like Symphony of the Night. It's really good Metroid, great Castlevania. I've played it. I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun exploring. I haven't hit the wall where I'm like, so like I'm basically like just throwing myself at enemies and attacking, like not even worrying about health or anything. And I haven't hit a wall where, like I need to be cautious. So I'm waiting for that to happen. But I mean, and I mean that as in like I just jump in, like I'm aggressive like Bloodborne and just start attacking, time my attacks. I'm not saying like, oh, I'm just running and jumping, and if I attack and hit them,
if I look at enemies, they're just dying.
Yeah, like I'm just saying, like I'm not being cautious, or anything. Like I'm just running around having a good time, and the game has been a lot of fun. It's cool how you can enlarge the map. You could also put the map like when you're playing, you can put it in a part of your screen so you can see the map at all times.
Oh, that's cool.
You can like shrink the map. You can make the map really big. Like you have a UI when you bring up the map to edit it so that you could, always have it up. So I thought that was cool. I like that. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend checking it out. I know it's like what, $40 on PSN. So if you're interested, maybe try the Curse of the Moon one, which I know is less. Like that might be $10. I mean, it may not have the same graphics, but it'll have the same type of like play style. Because I mean, it is the father of Castlevania.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think. Well, it's the guy that was a principal designer on Symphony of the Night, and what really brought Igarashi like his fame was the fact that after Symphony of the Night, he did all those DS and 3DS ones that were basically like the term Metroidvania gets a lot of shit because Castlevania didn't start out like Symphony of the Night. It took from Super Metroid. Like basically they're Metroid games, depending on who you ask. I like the term Metroidvania because both those series ended up doing that thing very goddamn well. And plus, I actually think Metroidvania is just a cool word.
Yeah, it's a cool word.
I mean, forget the connotations of what it means. But yeah, if you like those games, like if you liked Dead Cells, if you liked Chasm, if you liked Symphony of the Night, if you liked Guacamelee, like there's no reason you won't like this game.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you really have a problem being it's a female protagonist, correct?
Correct.
Unless you really have a problem being a female protagonist with multiple weapons, and at that point, maybe look inward.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit petty.
I agree with you.
But yeah, I mean it's a game style that I like, done by one of the people that probably does it the best. And from what I'm hearing, it's basically so it's like, yeah, you want a Symphony of the Night ass looking game? Here you go. Yes, please. And I'm excited to play that. I'm glad you're playing it. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yes.
So I just realized I have another game that I played. And I'm going to talk about Path of Exile. Path of Exile is a Diablo-ass Diablo game that's not Diablo, and I'm kind of in love. It's not as smooth as Diablo 3. But I'm okay with that. And I've always, like, I think when this show first started, it was Joey Pease that kind of told me it's a spiritual successor to Diablo 2. Playing this, like when I heard it was coming to PS4, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm definitely doing that because Diablo 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. I realize that there's a lot I don't fucking remember about Diablo 2 because I'm like sitting here, I'm like nothing's really recalling it. And that's probably because it's been 15 years since I came out. Or probably actually no, closer to 20 at this point. Probably 20 years.
I thought it came out in the early 2000s.
It might have, but still, like it's 2019.
So that's you're almost it's almost 2020. So.
It's 2 decades, and I'm old. But no, this game is really fun. I think that like in terms of if you like, the easy thing to compare it to is Diablo 3, and I feel like the quests sort of come at you thick and fast, but there's never too many of them at one time, which is very nice.
Okay.
You look at that skill tree, and that skill tree is a monster.
I was gonna say I think it evokes nightmares for some people because it's like a large skill tree.
Yeah, and I mean, like you and I both love Salt and Sanctuary.
Yeah, and that skill tree
that skill tree is, you see that at the beginning of the game. It's like, fuck, this is intimidating. I think
holy shit, I'm gonna get to go everywhere with this.
Yeah, had I not seen that, I might have just passed out when I saw Path of Exiles. But I was like, wow, I've got a long way to go, and I'm all right with that. Path of Exile is really fun. It's basically Diablo style combat, so it's not too involved. I'm using a duelist. I haven't really done I haven't really used magic or anything, but I do have attacks that require mana. They're like difficult slashes and whatever. It's one of those games. I do like it. I'm glad I'm playing that. I think I'm not attacking it at the same clip that I attacked Diablo 3. And I feel like I'm all the better for it, because usually it's like something, if I'm really tired when I get home from work, I will pop that in, do 1, maybe 2 quests, and then go to bed. Nice. It doesn't get the adrenaline going. It doesn't get me overstimulated so I can't sleep. I like the voice acting in it. The voice acting in it is actually really good, I think. And I'm excited to play more of it. I've heard it's at least a 100-hour platinum, so I got a long way to go. Maybe by the end of next year, I'll be halfway there at this point. Like, that's kind of the clip I'm attacking this at. But if you like Diablo games, and I know you do, Moose, you should play it. So hopefully things will change with my work schedule, and we can play together.
Yeah.
One can dream. Next up for you, sir.
My last game is Downwell.
Oh, such a good game. Such a good game.
I don't even I think so. For those who don't know, I think this one's Devolver Digital too.
I don't know. Keep talking. I'll look.
So for those who don't know, it is basically a game where dude's hanging out in a park, and he decides to strap on some bullet boots and check out this well, and you just fall down the well. And so the game mechanic is awesome, because to reload your guns, you have to either land on an enemy that you can land on. You can't land on all of them, or you have to land on like a platform in the game. And so as you're going into the well further and further, there's like little windows or little bubbles. You go into the bubble, and it might have like a power up in there. So you might have triple shots. So you shoot 3 shots down. It might have a laser. So you only have like 2 shots, but it's a more powerful shot. You might have shotgun, like all that stuff. And so you can pick those up. There's a merchant sometimes, but you're just taking out enemies as you go. And then you get to the bottom of the stage, and you go to the next stage.
Which is further down the well.
Yes, further down the well. And so before you start that stage, you get to pick a perk. So it might be like gems come to you faster. You might have a balloon on you. You
like an
might
extra life point or something
yeah,
like that.
or like
Yeah.
when you pick up gems, it shoots a bullet upwards, which is useful because you can use that to kill enemies that are coming at you from the top. So like main enemies you have are like crabs crawling on the wall. If you've got frogs, you got like this like brain little thing that comes at you. You've got bats, frogs, like, and so those are the main ones I've seen. I've only gotten to like stage 3 or 4. Because I'm just like messing around with it and trying different stuff and whatnot. And sometimes it gets crazy because like you can shoot through some of the terrain, and so you'll just keep falling, and then like you learn like, okay, well, hey, this enemy I can land on, so I'll land on that enemy, because not only does landing on it kill it without any bullets, but I've noticed that like you collect the gems faster that way. Like if you shoot them, it explodes downwards, and then you got to go chasing the gem. Whereas if you just stomp them, you collect it faster. So it's a lot of fun. It's one button control.
Yep.
You can use the directional pad or you can use the analog stick, and you have the jump button, and that is it. As far as the gameplay that I've dealt with, but it's fast, it's furious. It's almost got like that Dead Cells mechanic where you're like, one more game, I'll go in again. Like, granted, you don't keep anything. The only thing I think you do keep is like leveling to get ways to play the game. Like there's different styles, like with the different characters. Like you can play a different style of the game. Like there's one that just tumbles infinitely, so I think he just spins. So I think you would just shoot like all around you. So I'm not 100% sure because I haven't played it yet, but that's one of the things like that.
How are you playing it?
Switch.
Switch. Okay.
Yeah, mobile. I usually play it on my lunch break. Like I'll sit in the break room and just sit there and play. But it's awesome. I think it's maybe $2. It's another $2 game. It is on everything.
Not everything. It was first released on iOS in 2016.
Yes. Yeah, and it's on Android because I have it on Android. And then I picked it up on PS4. I think it's on Vita. It's on Xbox. It's on Switch. I think Switch was the last place to get it. If not, it was released at the same time as everything else. But you know what I mean.
I first heard of that, I think in 2015, when Kara Ellison was on. She was on like Giant Bomb's E3 presentation, because she was writing her book In Bed with Games, and I think she spent like a couple of months with the creator of that, just sort of kind of documenting it for that book.
Right.
And yeah, so hearing about that, like, and like at the time it was like, yeah, it's kind of like Spelunky, but it's going to be on mobile phones. And I was like, oh, Spelunky on the phone, I'll take that. But then I got it. And I'm like, wait a minute, this ain't Spelunky. This is different and cool. Yeah, this is. Yeah. One thing I really like about that game is if you can avoid platforms, you start getting multipliers as you kill enemies without landing. Yeah, that game's good.
Mm-hmm.
And it is published by Devolver. I did look.
Which is nice.
Which is kind of a barometer for Moose at this point.
So technically that, even though it's not a new game, it came out this year.
It came out on Switch this year, yeah.
Yeah. So last year was PlayStation 4 and Vita. Actually, it's not on Xbox, so you technically can't play it on every console, but you can play it on Windows.
Yep. I think it's on PC and Mac too.
Yeah. Yeah. I have it on. Like I said, I have it on my Android. I use that Google Rewards money. Pick it up.
It's a great phone game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great game. I highly recommend it. I was even looking into getting, I don't know if you've seen it, but have you seen the side controller? Like it's a dock that turns your Switch on like vertical, and you can control your Switch. So like downwell, you have more field of vision.
Oh, I think I heard about that. Well, I think I heard someone talk about that. Like that's what they should do. I heard them talking about it like almost as a joke. Is that a real thing?
It is a real thing. You can buy the actual accessory to do it.
Huh. Did not know that.
Yeah, because
I feel like that's the only game you would really use it for, except maybe Tetris. But
well, no, that and then the shooter game, Ikaruga.
Ikaruga.
Ikaruga. Thank you for correcting me. But
Okay.
that they're saying like shooters like that, it works really well with. I mean, I don't think it's more than $20. So it's
Okay.
not like you're going to be spending a crap ton of money on it. But like, and I can't list the games that they listed, but when I read it, I was like, oh, I'd play it that way. I'd play that way. I'd play that. You know what I mean? It just kept like snowballing into like, okay, yeah, that's an accessory. Like if I bought it, I would use it. Not just like something like, like you'd pick it up for like the gimmick or whatever it is and play a game with it and then never touch it again. So
Right.
I'll have to look into it. But anyway, so that's the game.
That's a good one. I'm glad you're playing that. That's awesome. And then did you have any more games or no?
No, that's it.
The second to last one I'll talk about came out last year. I started it and I actually got through a chunk of it last year. It's a really good. It's a really simple and a really sweet puzzle game called The Gardens Between. I went back to it after playing Neo with Ahmed last night, and I'm just like, you know what? I haven't finished this game. I'm gonna finish this game. And I actually went through and I finished it. I got a couple of trophies, and I said, I'm gonna go back through it. I'm gonna get the platinum like right now, because it's actually not a long platinum. But it is one of those games. It's probably along the lines of Oxenfree, where it's kind of a walking simulator with puzzle elements. And I say that because while all walking simulators have some form of puzzle elements, like this is more emphatic on them. Like you have to do this stuff to get through. You're trying to you're two characters, Arena and I think it's Frent. I think that's how you say his name. And you use the joystick to go left or right, and then you use X as your action button. Arena carries the lantern and the light that you need to progress through the stage, and Frent will do the action things where he like hits a bell or he hits like I guess it's like a remote totem that can sort of mess with time a little bit. So you have to kind of position them through. There's a lot of Monument Valley in this game, and I like the puzzles. I like the way it uses moving back and forth in time. Like, you know how in Super Hot, when you move, the rest of the world moves? It's like that. So if you're moving right, the characters are moving right and time is moving forward. If you're in reverse, time moves back. But when you hit when Frent hits the remote totem, you can actually stay where you're at and move things around in the environment to where you want them, so you can line up the puzzle. It's very Monument Valley. It's almost like Captain Toad, where there's no real jumping, there's no real platforming, but it's still kind of a platformer. And each little puzzle is sort of like that garden in a box type thing. It's a very good looking game for being like as cartoony as it is. And I actually think once you progress through the story, like I wasn't expecting the end when I got there.
Like not expecting the ending you got, or just, oh, this is the end.
Well, I wasn't because I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, oh, they're probably doing the brothers thing where,
yeah.
Where like, oh, okay, that's what this is. I'm not going to say the ending of Brothers, because if you haven't played that, you really fucking should.
I'm just saying we're not saying it because of spoilers,
right? But when I got to the end, I was like not expecting to like, I wasn't expecting to feel it, to be honest with you.
Okay,
but I did.
Ooh, right in the feels. Got a little heart.
Well, but
apart, guys.
You know what? And I'm gonna spoil the end of this, just because I feel it's appropriate. And I actually, if you don't want to hear it, fine. But this is like a 3-hour game at most. So I'm not. You can. This is like we talk about. There's often a conversation in games like, where is the Citizen Kane of video games? I will say that this game is like Stand By Me.
Ooh, okay.
In a fact that you don't really get a whole, you don't get a lot of setup. You just like the opening cutscene is you see Arena and Front like in a treehouse, together doing stuff, and then like there are little cutscenes throughout the game that show them playing and being friends, and then at the very end, like the very last thing you see is them hugging each other, and then it pulls out and you see the house on the left has been sold, and then Front gets in the moving van and drives away, and you just see Arena waving. And it hit me because I remember when I was in 5th grade and my best friend at the time moved away, and it just immediately, like, I was like back at that moment. And I'm like kind of tearing up thinking about it now, because it was like the first like best friend I had, and all I could think of was the end of Stand By Me, where Richard Dreyfuss types into the keyboard, "I never again had friends like the friends I had when I was 12. Jesus Christ, does anybody?" And like all that just sort of hit me in a way that I was not expecting, and I'm really holding it back right now, and I don't even know why. But yeah, so I'm gonna say this: The Gardens Between should have been on my top 10 list last year. I should have fucking finished it. And I hope me spoiling it the way I did, I hope it doesn't ruin it for people, because I still think the message is there, and I still think it's presented in a way that is well done. And the soundtrack is glorious. It's mostly ambient electronic music. No real club bangers here, but it is a beautiful suite of songs. So yeah, I highly recommend The Gardens Between. And then the final game I'll talk about, because I don't think you have any more. I'm not stepping. Okay, Cadence of Hyrule. I started that and beat it. I started it before last week's show, and I beat it this week. Game's good. If you are intimidated by Crypt of the Necrodancer, which is a rhythm roguelike, first off, that is kind of intimidating. It's a really hard game to get going at. This is not a roguelike. This is not. It doesn't even. It does. You in Crypt or in Cadence of Hyrule, you can turn the rhythm shit off. So if you just want to get through your Zelda game, turn the rhythm stuff off. Get through your Zelda game. I actually did not expect to beat it as fast as I did. I just started wandering around Hyrule. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, here's Zora's domain. Guess I'm gonna have to fight something. So I fought something, and I'm like, okay. Then I found Gerudo Village, and I'm like, oh, probably gonna have to fight something because I know Zelda. Fought something, and then you know how this goes. You fight 4 things. You go to the castle. And you fight the boss, and it's over. Danny Baranowski, the same guy who did Crypt of the Necrodancer soundtrack, was given free reign to mess with Nintendo's music. Oh, did he deliver? Everything about this game is awesome. I think it delivers the potential that Zelda as a series needs to go in terms of playing as goddamn Zelda for once. All 3 characters, whether you're Zelda, Link, or Cadence, all of them, well, the movement is basically the same. They kind of play differently. Whereas like Link can use a shield. Cadence doesn't really run on a shovel. Zelda, I believe, has magic abilities, but all of them there's a little twist for each of them. All of them are good. This game is amazing. It looks phenomenal. It has a very Link to the Past look about it, but very updated. I think Crypto the Necro. I think it looks better than Crypto the Necro Dancer, despite being the same people. Like I feel like they took a lot more care. This game is dope, and I mean I think of the games I've mentioned thus far, that'll definitely make my top 10 list. I don't expect. I mean, I'm not saying. I mean, I've been pretty forthright that Sekiro is at the top of my mountain this year, and it's going to take something special to knock it off. But like, Cadence is probably going to be up there too. Cadence of Hyrule is fun. I know you specifically like made mention of like the game is $25. I think that's more of the Nintendo IP tax than anything else. Because I mean, I think Kingdom Battle was $40 when it came out, and I don't think it's a bigger game. Well, bigger as in like I don't think it's actually more content than Cadence of Hyrule, because I went through Kingdom Battle, the Mario and Rabbids game, really quickly as well. Like, and I even went back to the Donkey Kong stuff and went through that super quick. So, but yeah, no, this is definitely worth the 25, I think. And that's, judge value by how you want. But that's everything we've been playing.
Mm-hmm.
We laughed. I almost cried. What do you say we go to listener questions, Moose?
I'm fine with that.
Okay. So, as I said before, if you want to have your questions answered, send your cues to nerdsgonerogue@gmail.com, and we will give you some A's. Or you can hit us up on Twitter @nerdsgonerogue. Both ways are fine. If you want to ask him in our Facebook group, that's facebook.com/group/nerdsgonerogue community. You can do it there too. Hell, go to Moose's community and ask them questions too. In fact, they have a phone number. I don't remember it, but you should call them and ask them questions. Listen to Nerds Gone Platinum. It's a good show. So we're starting off. Greg Osterman III. I would like to know how you guys decide which games to play. When you have a lot of different things to choose from, how do you know? Well, I feel like of anything, Moose, you and I are kind of experts on this.
Yeah, we have a lot to play.
We do.
So I feel it boils down to scheduling, like what we're interested in. So, like, I think I was talking on Nerds Gone Platinum last time, like, looking ahead, the next big game for me is Borderlands 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, barring any, like, stealth announced releasement / drops, like, oh, hey, the game you've been thinking about, it's coming out, December or November, whatever. And I'm not talking, like, indie games.
Right.
That's just, like, something sneaky.
I mean, Nintendo's been doing their directs and pushing a lot of that. It's kind of pissing my wallet off. Just saying.
It's understandable. So, looking ahead, I'm like, well, I want to finish up Division 2, get the platinum. I really need to. So, like, when I play, I need to stop. Like, I need to start working on trophies instead of, like, doing dailies and just running stuff to get gear. Like, I have to start working on actual trophies in that game to try and button up the platinum and be done with it.
Yeah.
But anyways, I was like, okay, well, if I could finish that up, hopefully before the end of July, I have August and a little bit of September left. If I finish it before the end of July, I'm, part of July. So I'm like, there's some games that I want to play, like indie games, like Bloodstained. I want to play that. I do need to get back to and play Days Gone. I want to play that and hopefully platinum that. So it all comes down to like scheduling, and then also like what are you playing a lot of that you need like something else to like counteract that. Like I'm playing a lot of Division, so I'm definitely don't want to do a shooter, even though I said I'd play Days Gone because it's not necessarily a shooter. It just has shooting elements in it. But like so indie games. Like I jump back into I'm playing down well. I didn't jump back into it, but I went back to Golf Story today to play a little bit of that.
Such a good game.
So I'm like, I want to finish that. And I was thinking of while I was sitting at work, looking through my catalog, I'm like, I have Cave Story Plus. I need to beat Cave Story Plus. I want to beat Octopath Traveler. I want to beat Axiom Verge. And so like I have all these little games and I was even like watching people's videos. That one guy I sent you, Nakey Jakey, was hilarious. And,
he is hilarious, by the way.
Yeah, like I was like, his humor is like right up your alley.
Yeah.
He did a couple of videos. Some of the videos that like I guess were his most popular, so they floated to his like the playlist when I was watching him, or his stuff about Breath of the Wild. And I'm like, man, like I really want to go back and play that again with a different approach. Like when I first played it and was trying to enjoy it, I was just like, I'm not liking this. It took me a while to get into that game. And then once I got into that game, I was like nonstop till I beat it. So, and love that game. And so now I'd love to just go in and have a blast with it. Like knowing about it, what I know now, like, okay, don't worry, just weapons. Don't even freaking worry about weapons. You know what I mean? Like in this and that. And I'd like to get better at the combat. Like I never really learned the jumping, like when someone goes to attack, you can dodge and then quick slap. Like I never really gave a crap about that. So probably would have made a lot of fights easier. But anyways, I want to play that. So like I was saying, there's just a lot of stuff that's in the backlog and it's like, I want to play it. So I'm going to start playing it, So that's kind of how I pick what I'm going to be playing next. Or, and like if I'm doing like now I'm working on Division 2, I might have like an indie, like one or two indies that I'll play. Or like that might be a multiplayer game like Division 2. I'll play that by myself. And when Jeff and Jason come on, we might play Borderlands 2 because we might want to play the free DLC that came out that bridges the gap between 2 and 3. And so we might play that, So I might. It just depends. And also, I went back to Black Ops 4 because there's a new gun that got released. So I wanted to try that out, and so I was playing that again. And it's just, I didn't mention that one or whatever else just because they're Golf Story, just because like I played like so minute amount of it, but they're both games worth playing. So that's how I pick mine. And like the rest of the year, indies like Children of Morta is coming out this summer. I want to get that. Blasphemous had a trailer announcement, like an announcement trailer. Like it's been out there on Kickstarter and stuff, but I don't think it's ever had like a hey, here's our game.
Yeah, it really has.
Really, really good.
Really
looks
does.
faster than I was expecting it to play. Not that I'm disappointed. I just saw it and I was like, oh, so it's going to be that fast. And I'm like, okay, I like that. I like that a lot. Like I was expecting more of a methodical style, like Dark Souls speed, but it almost looks like it's going to be like Bloodborne speed. Where you want to kind of be aggressive. And so I'm excited about that. The game looks like it's basically like he could stand on a cliff and your character in Dark Souls could be standing on a cliff and they could be waving at each other in the same world. Like that, like it's like right. It feels like it's right out of the Dark Souls world universe. So I'm excited to play that. That might come out this year. Castle Crashers. I'm a huge Castle Crashers fan, and they better give us a platinum for the PlayStation.
Yeah, really. Reba and I were talking about that over the weekend. She's like, when is Castle Crashers coming out? I'm like, I don't know. Why isn't it out? And we both got like equally outraged about it. And then we looked it up.
Asking when it's out.
And then we looked at it and like, summer. Like, it's summer now. Where is it?
It's only like 3 days into summer, but it's summer now. But
summer.
Yeah. I think they're shooting for like a late July, maybe August release.
I have a feeling there will be a state of play or a Nintendo Direct, and that's when that's when they're gonna say, "Hey, by the way, Spelunky's out."
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, Castle Crashers is finally out on PS4.
There's one, Spelunky 2. I know you'll be excited about Spelunky 2.
Both of us are. She and I are both excited for it. She's like, I need you to carry me around so I can shoot a gun again. Like,
nice.
All right. We can do that.
I'm going to put you in my pocket. Let's go.
I'll just put you in my arms. And I'll be like, kill.
And then, like, I was thinking, like, a stealth release game or a stealth announcement would be like, hey, we're making Helldivers 2. Like, that's the main one I'm waiting for. Like, Arrowhead Games is working on something.
They're working on something. I look at their site like once a week and I see these blog updates and you see all these people working on stuff. And I'm like,
yeah,
what are you working on?
Yeah. Hey, just give me a hint.
Just tell us. I've emailed them so many times saying, hey, I'd like to have someone from your studio on just to talk about our games because we love them.
Yeah.
And they've never responded. I feel bad about it, but also like they're keep working. But what are you working on?
Yeah. So it's like here's like the thing. Like, you got one or two ways to go about it, because like we were talking about it with Castle Crashers and Alien Hominid. Like, everybody wants a sequel to Castle Crashers, but then like their response to it was, well, if we did Castle Crashers 2, there wouldn't have been Battle Block Theater.
Right.
And if we did that, a second one of that, there wouldn't have been Pit People. Although
people probably said, well,
yeah, like from what I hear, Pit People, it's like, it was like one of their first misses. Yeah, I would say not like complete miss. Like, they still hit. If they were shooting with a bow and arrow, they still hit the target. It was just well outside the bullseye.
Like, there's a band I'm a fan of, the Pixies. There's something that's always said about their album Bossa Nova. It's the kid that has turned in A+ work, all of a sudden turning in a B+.
Yeah,
and everyone's like, nope.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Bossa Nova is my favorite of their albums. So what do I know?
That doesn't surprise me. But so I feel like if Arrowhead Studios came out and said, we're working on Helldivers 2, I would pre-order it as soon as I could. Mm-hmm. If they came out and said, we're working on this style game, and it was in the same vein, like the top-down, isometric, like twin stick type thing, or even if it wasn't and it was like third-person RPG or an action game, I'd still buy into whatever they're selling, because they're a great studio and they've made really good stuff. Like, they did the recent Gauntlet remaster.
And it's the best Gauntlet like in forever, I think.
Yeah. And they didn't do Magicka 2, but they did the first Magicka.
They did the first Magicka, yeah.
Yeah. And so they've got 2 games on this console generation. So, if a third one came out, I wouldn't be upset. And then whenever Housemarque's game, was it Storm Chasers?
Yeah, Storm Divers.
I should have known there was divers in it. We're talking about hell diving, now we're talking about storm diving. But whenever that comes out, that'll be awesome. So it's just, just trying to fill the gaps until the big releases come out and chip away at that backlog.
Yeah, I
know they're long-winded. Sorry, listeners.
No, you're good. So this is honestly like this is a question that comes up a lot, but like the answer always changes. Like, it's always like, this is a conversation worth having like a lot of the time. I think if we did it every week, it'd be a bit overwrought, but this is a welcome subject to revisit every so often. deciding which games to play is tough because like this year there have been a number of games that I've actually wanted, and but I know I'll never play. What eliminates a lot of it is barrier of entry. Like I I genuinely enjoy fighting games. But I can't play them anymore. Like I am done trying to even get passable at a fighting game. Although I will say this, Samurai Showdown did some things to me, and I think had caffeine nicotine been in the game, would have been a purchase, but he's not. So I think that's what's keeping me from purchasing it.
Wait, what? Been in it in the game?
Oh, caffeine nicotine. It's a character.
Okay.
I used to when I played that in the arcade. I used to be that guy, and a lot of people at the arcade didn't like me.
Hey, you're just playing.
I'm a character in the game that you can't beat. I don't know what you want. But like sports games, as much as I like sports, like I've kind of decided I don't want to devote my game time to sports anymore, unless it's like an arcade sports game where the barrier of entry is really low, but the skill ceiling is really high. Like I'm totally like, for instance, like that's why I'll still play Rocket League every so often. I'm actually really interested in that roller derby game that Ubisoft put out at E3.
Now, but yeah.
But how do I decide what to play is actually a really tough thing. Especially for me lately. Like after I platinum Sekiro, like there were days where I came home, sat down to play my PS4, and I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Like one of those times, I actually went back into Sekiro and beat the game again. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, and like, you know, and that game has become like a problem for me because it's kind of keeping me from moving on. What I am glad that this is where I'm really happy I bought a Switch. Because the same games aren't available a lot of the time, and I use my Switch purchasing very differently than I do my PS4. So having games like Katana Zero in my backlog, and Box Boy Box Girl, and Cadence of Hyrule, and my friend Pedro, thank you. Having those. Like, I'm like, okay, I kind of have to play these games because these are all I have access to right now. So I did that, and slowly but surely, like, I've kind of gotten out of that funk. Am I done with Sekiro? Hell no. No way am I done with that game, but I needed something to sort of clear the fog, if you will. Like, had I not played those games, I wouldn't have played Gardens Between. I probably wouldn't have even thought about jumping into Neo with Ahmed either.
Do you feel like myself and Jeff, because we had this conversation Friday night, do you feel like you're getting or want to get further and further away from games as services? Like games like Division, games like Destiny 2, games like, okay, well, here's a game, and then here's like our year roadmap, and then we're gonna, like, the next year we're gonna have, so like Division 1, first year's free, then the second year they're gonna make you pay for it, then they'll probably have a game out the third year, or whatever, and so it gets to the point where, like, I look at a lot of games and I'm like, I want to play that, but it's just exhausting looking at it and thinking about having to play that game. You know what I mean? Like, whereas you look at Sekiro, and it might take you a while to beat the game, just on your play style. But like, it's self-contained, like it's done. Like when you like, Cadence of Hyrule. You've played it. It's done. My friend Pedro. You've played it. It's done. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm getting DLC for it. Oh, we're gonna get a raid. Oh, we're gonna get new specialization. Like, do you feel you're moving in that direction? Or
I mean, it really depends on the game. I guess someone. I mean, I got into Anthem, and I played that game till I rolled credits, and I've not been back. I've thought about going back just to finish the platinum. I don't know if I ever will. But you know, I liked that game. Is it even close to what I like? When I mentioned earlier that I have a list of the games I've played, it's like it goes the list of the games that I think are probably going to be in contention, lists of old games, and then games I also played. Games I also played this year are Anthem and Far Cry New Dawn at this point. I don't think either of those games are bad, but they're just not. They're probably not. They're not going to be, you know, something I remember at the end of the year. Very not. I don't want to say I hate those games, but I'm probably not going to remember them super fondly. But Division 2 is a game as a service that I can get down with. This is from someone who bounced off the first one in a very real way. I will say this: this doesn't make me want to, like. I'm not going to do an MMO ever, especially one that has a monthly fee. But it really depends on the content that's added. Like Ubisoft has added, you know, a new gunner class to Division 2. The raid is there, but you can't matchmake. And because of when I play, like I'm never going to get that raid done. Because anybody that I talk to on a regular basis is playing at night, and that's when I'm going to work. So unless I get a first shift job in the next couple of months, which please, like I will never have even close to enough people to attempt that raid. I know my gear score right now is I think it's like, I'm not at 500, but I'm like at 497 or 499. I'm really close to it. But I don't care to go for that grind because I'm not going to do the raid. Now, if they were to bring in like a new stronghold, yeah, I'd do that no problem. I would want to try the gunner class just to see what that's about, because carrying a minigun sounds like a fucking awesome thing.
That's something that pisses me off, though.
What?
They lock it behind questing. So, like, if you're not a year one subscriber, you have to go out and do quests to get. I think you have to get to level 5 to unlock it in questing for the specialization. Well, like weird, like not weird stuff, but some of it's like, okay, you have to kill this guy twice, who's in a mission, a main mission. You have to kill him. You have to hit him with like electricity, like 3 times, 4 times. You have to kill these people 500 times. You have to do the propaganda missions with a marksman's rifle. And I'm like, I don't use marksman rifles.
Yeah, that's dumb.
And I wouldn't even use marksman's rifle if I was a minigun build. Like I'd use assault rifles and LMGs. And I'm just like, some of it's like really weird. So I was looking at it. I'm like,
everything you're telling me right now has made me glad that I didn't really look at it. While I am a year one thing, and I probably have it just sitting there waiting for me, so it's really easy. But like, also, that shit's fucking dumb. Like, if you're not a year one, just make it a transaction.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's like the right way, but I feel like that's more reasonable than making someone do a whole bunch of things they don't.
Well, I think that's the way they're justifying like not having to pay for it. You don't have to pay for it. Okay, well, we're gonna make you jump through some hoops.
Yeah, and
No, we gave you free content. We're making you really work for it. I mean, I will be honest. I am kind of happy with their grind. Their grind's not needless. Like
mhm.
you don't sit there and do it with they didn't do what they did with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where they actually put in a microtransaction where you could pay
Where you could
for
level up faster.
a lot faster, and it's like, just why does your game have just like you're basically having people pay to not play your game? Just don't make it the grind that hard.
Yeah.
Don't be assholes about it.
Mhm.
You know?
I also think that them doing that, there's a way to look at it where them doing that, as negative as it is, it's probably them trying to figure out, okay, how do we adjust for people's time? And I think that maybe there's a method for doing it. If that becomes a pattern, clearly they've fucked up.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe that's a one and done thing. Like, oh, we did this, but we're not doing that again. And like, and you know, and I won't have this answer, but I look at both possibilities and think that's equally silly. But moving away from games as a service, like, it depends on the game, to be 100% honest with you. Like, I mean, technically Apex Legends is a game as service, but it's free to get in.
I
But
don't see that as a game as a service, because I feel like it's self-contained, and if you never played any of the stuff that's coming down the line, like, you're fine, because it's a battle royale game.
That's okay. Yeah, no, all right.
Whereas in, like, if you look at like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where it's like, well, here's the game, and then we're gonna put DLC out, which probably should have been in the game, but we wanted to break it out so that we make you pay for a season pass, and that's kind of the same thing with Division. Well, except they first year is free. So
Right.
in the second year, when they decide, oh, well, here's all the cool shit, well, now you got to really pay for it. But
Right. I don't know. Like, it's games as a service is still relatively new to consoles. Like, I know MMOs have been around for a while in the PC space, but I think that it's always going to depend on the game. And I am also a person who will eject when they're done. Like, I look at the stuff that has come out for the Division, and I could take or leave it. I don't really need to do any of it. However, a game like Hitman is about to announce, or it's about to drop a new level. So, and that drops tomorrow. So and that's part of my expansion pass. So naturally, I'm probably going to be back in Hitman, which, you know, I wish that came at a steadier clip, but also, like, new Hitman, and they do stuff to that game constantly, and it's all, and they do really cool things, like the way that they're doing escalation missions and special contracts, things like that. I don't know if I would throw that in the games as a service thing, but I don't really think it is too far outside of that realm either. But the one thing I will say, just to sort of round off Greg's question, a lot of folks say, play what you love what you play. And I think that that's a wonderful sentiment. But I feel like understanding what you like and choosing what to play based on what you like is a smart way to do things, especially if you're in a gaming lull. Like for instance, I know I'm a platformer guy. Like, first and foremost, I also like action RPGs. But, like, if I'm in a lull, I'm probably going to look at a platformer before I'll look at anything else, because at least I can say, okay, this is an action that will trigger the dopamine release I need from games. And also, if you're playing a game you don't like, fucking stop. Like, just if you don't like it, like, this is how I know I'm not a true trophy hunter. I can't stick to something I like long enough unless I know it is like a short game, which is why I have fucking Little Adventure on the Prairie as a platinum, because that game fucking sucks. This is why I have Orc Slayer, because that game fucking sucks, but it's like 3 hours to platinum.
Those were terrible.
Say what you want about Ratalaika as a publisher, their games are sound.
Yeah.
And they are sound, quick platinums, sure, but like I've gotten something out of everything that I've played from them, regardless of how simple and silly it is, and long may they continue. So I'm going to move on to Sam Hall's question. Where do you see E3 evolving in the next few years? What do you think it'll look like 2, 5, or 10 years from now? I think the easy answer is 10 years from now, when there's a very real possibility it might not be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 2 years from now, it'll probably be more consumer focused than industry focused. But I think in the 2 to 5 year time period, we need a pretty swift transition from, if it's going to be more consumer, it has to be like when Reba and I went to PAX Unplugged, there was something I noticed, is that if they were talking about a new game, they had a limited amount of copies you could buy. Again, and this is like games that are kickstarted, like, where they probably had been sent to backers, but like they brought stuff like, hey, this is here for you to purchase. And then they had a smattering of old popular games as well. Like, Ticket to Ride was there, Clank was there. Tons of stuff that, like, if you had never played it, you could try it and then buy it. That's how E3 has to go. There has to be more of like, hey, we have this here and you can buy it. It's probably putting more of an emphasis on the day, on the reveal and then available now, which is probably why there wasn't a whole crap ton to talk about in that space this year. Unless you were a Nintendo fan, where they said, hey, this is coming out in 2 days. This is coming out in 5. At least there was that. But personally, I like the idea of a time period where everyone sort of gets together in one spot and creates, a buzz about what they're doing. We can, and as much as, like, I think of all the conventions that are out there, the one I do not want to go to as a fan is E3. I don't want there to not be a cycle event like that. Because some of my favorite things about it are like the press conferences, and the only way they do that is if everybody's in one place. Yes, we could say, well, Sony can just present it at the same time as Xbox, but then that generates the stupid console fight, which is silly. But also, like, as a business strategy, why would you do it that close? Because then it only matters who goes first. There's a lot to figure out, but the things I like about E3 the most are when, those big tentpole companies bring the little guys along. And that's why I think, like Moose and I said in last week's show, like, Devolver was the best produced thing, because they were the only ones showing us stuff we would have never seen anywhere else. And, the little indie sizzle reels that we would get in previous years from Xbox and Sony, that's where Cuphead came out of. Sony has done several of those where I'm like, hey, what is that? Whereas, they could have Last of Us on stage, with a big run through of a level and everyone trips over their own erection about it. But I kind of want to hear what the little guys are doing too. And trying to follow that stuff is difficult because there's very few institutions on their side, which is why I gravitate to publishers like Devolver, like Annapurna, like 505, like even Radaleka for the little things that they do. Because it's me hearing about something that I'm not hearing about somewhere else. Because let's be real, we go to GameSpot, we go to IGN, we go to Polygon. They're all talking about the big boys. Everyone's wondering what the hell Death Stranding is about. The next Call of Duty is going to be front page of theirs, but I want to know what some little guy that left Epic Games to start his own studio is doing, and I want to see what's in that guy's head, because that's how you get your super giant games. That's how you get your Campo Santos. That's how you get those things. And eventually those guys get to places where they are, bigger. Like that's how Gone Home happens. So I don't want E3 to go away. I do think it needs to change. And I think it in those 3 time periods, it'll change a lot. I went long-winded. Do you have anything to add, Moose?
I agree. The way it's going, it might go the way of the dodo. I think E3 is more for like the people investing in the companies. And if people go the routes of like say Nintendo and Sony starting to adapt that back and have the state of play, because at E3, really, what would they have to talk about? They don't want to announce anything else because their next console's coming next year. Like all the game, like there are 2 games, that are left that we know of. Well, I mean, they gave us Death Stranding, but that was right before E3. Yeah. So that's 1 of 3 titles left. They've got Ghost of Tsushima, and they've got Last of Us 2, which are probably going to be next year, if not launch titles. So, in looking at that, what are they going to talk about? And in all honesty, I love this approach because it's like the approach they took. Because it's like I don't want to hear about him again. I don't want to hear about him again until it's like 3 months out, even a month out. Okay, just tell me when it's coming out, and we'll get excited then. Because I'm just seeing the same shit over and over again, and it gets annoying, and it drives your customers up the wall. So they might have got a lot of flack for not being there, but they're kind of controlling their own destiny in the fact that you don't have to play to E3. And so like Microsoft did their press conference. A lot of the press conferences like weren't that great. Like Ubisoft's, EA's is rarely ever good.
EA not doing anything is kind of a breath of fresh air, but also it kind of sucks.
Microsoft had a good show. Bethesda paid their own employees to scream out things while they were trying to do stuff, while they're trying to present stuff, and it's like, okay, like, can I at least hear what you're trying to say before you scream? Yeah, like, come on, people, nobody's this excited every time.
Yeah, Moose.
Anyways, so I think like you said, we're going to be eventually getting away from E3. I think it'll get more to where they can actually control the information more throughout the year instead of trying to do a large dump, like in June and then, go about their business.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want things like the Giant Bomb at Night thing to go away, but
they'll move that somewhere else or it'll morph into something else.
I feel like everybody involved will adapt.
Who's to say that, like maybe Sony turns it around on PSX and actually has a PSX like not last year's but the year before, like the first couple where they were really cool, like you never know. Right?
I mean, and also like there's no saying that Sony is done with E3 because here's my one little conspiracy theory about the whole thing. A lot of the press were saying that where Sony was, they put out a bunch of couches so people could just sit down, be they consumer press or otherwise. Well, what if Sony put those couches there to keep their space?
Yeah.
And they show up next year, fill that space full of Sony stuff, and then all of a sudden it's like none of this ever happened.
Yeah.
I mean, well, maybe not like none of this ever happened, but maybe they're just saying, hey, I guess E3 is relevant again, or more relevant than it was before, but not as relevant as it should be. I don't know. There's always going to be questions about it because the industry folks are always going to be a little jaded because they go there, exhaust the shit out of themselves, and then leave.
Mm-hmm.
All for folks like us to get excited and throw shade at. I mean,
well, that's the other thing. It's like, even without E3, we're still gonna get the games,
and we're still going to get hyped. We're still going to get pissed. We're still going to shit post. We're still going to be assholes. I mean, we are people.
Yeah, it is not going to change. It's just when we're going to get fed the content is going to change.
Yeah. So let's move on to the man, the myth, the legend, Deshaun Malone.
What's up, Deshaun?
What albums you guys listening to these days or digging these days?
Oh, see, I've been meaning to talk about this.
Okay.
But I just haven't because I don't know. We're just so busy.
There's not been a lot of space.
There hasn't been like hey, let's talk about music or something. Mm-hmm. And I was even thinking of like talking to you and Matt and be like, let's have a top 10 music albums.
Oh, there will be. If you guys want to do it, we can do it. We can do it as a B-side for sure.
Put it on the list. It's on there. Mm-hmm. So what have you been listening to?
Well, this guy over Baroness Golden Gray, right? I'm almost there. I've been listening to that a lot. I was so happy to receive my colored pressing of it. I listened to the singles that came out, and then I listened to the album once through, and I'm like, I don't know. And then like as I've listened to it more and more, it's been kind of a slow burn. I really dig it.
I think Captain Kim said the same thing.
He said the same thing, and I was just like, yeah, amen. Yeah, that's kind of how it's been for me.
I think that's going to happen with me too, because I've listened to it once or twice, and I'm not saying I don't like it. It's just
I remember all three of us were like super excited for it. Then it came out, and none of us said a word.
Yeah, I've been very quiet about it until like I think I just needed to put the headphones in and just listen to it 10, 12 times.
Well, I don't
really
overload yourself, but wait for it to hook you.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Well, I have it's my own way of doing stuff. Like sure. I just that's how I have to do it for myself. Like I just listen to it, and yeah, like you said, it'll eventually hook me. So,
but then apart from that, I've actually been listening to a lot more Baroness as well. I've been listening to Yellow and Green a lot because that's my favorite of theirs. Purple is really good. Blue's all right as well. It's over there. Yep. But new stuff, this guy right here, Flying Lotus, one of my favorite instrumental hip-hop electronic ties. He's released his newest maybe a month ago at this point. It's called Flamagara. Real good, very jazzy. And way less boom bap in a way that's actually really, really good. His music has always just sort of been, it's always kind of floored me to a degree. Like the way that he uses like space age sounds and things like that. Let's see. The new I've listened to the new Mannequin Pussy album a couple of times. It's pretty good. They got a good band name too, I think. And then the new Hot Chip album, I think it's called Bath and Ecstasy. It's not like jaw dropping or anything, but I feel like it does a lot of weird things for a dance outlet. Well, I mean, that's kind of what they've always been. They've always been, very dance pop, but it's surprisingly listenable, and it takes left turns in really interesting ways. I'm going to think of more, but I'm going to let you talk for a little bit, so go ahead.
So I've actually like used Google's new releases thing. Like Google has this, I have this problem with Google where it's like they ask you what you like and all that stuff, but then when you go to look at like the new releases, it's still all hip hop shit. Like I don't, no offense to hip hop, but I don't listen to it, or I don't
Hmm.
listen to a lot of it to the point where I need to have like see like 20 new releases because I'm running out of stuff to listen to. Like I listen to like metal, hard rock, like like that type of stuff. And
Well,
so
to be fair, as someone who really likes hip hop, following it is it seems impossible a lot of the time. It really does. So I know your frustration. I genuinely do.
I found a band called Duel, who their latest album I believe is called Black Magic Summer. I think it
Hmm.
is. So that album is freaking awesome. It's
Yeah, you pimped me to that. You pimped them to me a few weeks ago.
yeah, I
Them
found
and Lopan, right?
there's another band called Lopan, Lo space or I mean dash hyphen Lo hyphen Pan. So they're named after the main bad guy in Big Trouble in Little China.
Hmm.
They're both in the same wheelhouse, hard rock and roll. Like their latest album's called Subtle, and it's really good. So both their albums came out, I'd say, like the end of May.
Hmm.
Like so, I haven't like I just been listening. Like I put Duel on and just listening to all their albums, um, on repeat. And so they've got, to be honest, their newest album is not my favorite album. Their first album's my favorite album, but
Right.
the new one's really good. They also have a live album out, which is really cool. And then I was telling a buddy of mine, I have heard of Lopan before, but it was back in like my Spotify days, like
Hmm.
maybe 3 years ago. Like their first album I saw like came up on a list. So I'm kind of glad I found them again because I recognize the art, the cover art. Another band I'm listening to, Ruby the Hatchet, which is kind
Okay,
of
I know
like,
them.
yeah, like they're pretty cool. It's like old school rock and roll, so
Hmm.
not necessarily like I wouldn't say like metal.
No,
So
it's definitely more blues based.
yeah, it's more blues rock, which I
Yeah.
like. I think I found them through Wolf Mother because I think Wolf Mother's touring with them.
Okay.
So they're like right up my alley.
I didn't
So
realize Wolf Mother was still around.
yeah, they're still around.
Still doing
Um,
whatever they do.
I've been listening to the new Baroness.
Mhm.
I've also listened to uh, "Love Is All You Love" by Band of Skulls, their newest album. I don't. It'll be in my top 10 for the year, I believe, but I don't think it'll be too high because even though I like it, it's still too far away from what they normally do for me to enjoy it. But I like the fact that they're going out there and branching out. Like all three of like I could almost hit the like four like regular basis bands. Like so Black Keys have a new album coming out I think this week, which their singles are really good, so I'm looking forward to that. So I haven't really listened to the album, I'm listening to
Has
the
it been a
single.
while since they released a new album?
Yeah, I think the other one was back when I was still working at Lowe's, like 2015,
It was like
2016.
Turn Into Blue or whatever. Was
Um,
it? I, mean, I just think it was the Blue album. It was a Blue album
yeah,
cover.
I think it was Turn
Spiral Up.
Blue. I think it
Okay.
was Turn Blue. So Black Keys have a new album coming out. Band of Skulls just came out. Black Pistol Fire. If you haven't listened to Black Pistol Fire, they're awesome. Two piece band, drummer and
Mhm.
a guitarist. He's awesome. They've got some new singles out, and I think their new albums coming out this year. And then the Wigs. It'd be great if the Wigs put out a new album, but I don't know. I don't know if they're working on anything or whatever. But um, there's another band I found called American Sharks. So like they're like in the same wheelhouse as Lopan and Duel. Cause like I started and then I started like I used the new releases on Google and then I started using like the hey, if you like the artist you're listening to, here's some other artists like them. And I found American Sharks and they're pretty cool. I don't know the name of the album. It's just whatever. Actually, that might have came up through new releases, but when you go to like Lopan or Duel, like they're on there. They're on the list. If you like them, you'll like these guys. So that's pretty much what I've been listening to. I don't really I'm trying to think of other stuff. So go ahead if you got something.
I do. I have a few. I'm just going to do some quick shout outs. Big Thief's new album, UFOF, is really good. It's basically a pop rocky indie sort of sound. I do like Sun, SUNN, and then they have an O with a parentheses after it. I think they just address themselves as Sun. Their album Life Metal is really good. It's a little droney. And I think that this is probably the most accessible the most accessible album they've done. Probably because it's not just a lot of drones and the dude using a demonic voice. And he doesn't really do the whole growling thing. He just talks like this. But this has I think this has a bit more variance in that formula, and I really dig it. And plus, I like the fact that they went life metal instead of death metal. This is probably going to turn some heads, but I actually really like the new Carly Rae Jepsen album. It's called Dedicated. If you like pop, it's there. Fenish, experimental artist, I guess we would call him. Fennesz. His new album Agora is really good. In terms of aging emo highlights, American Football put out their third album. They basically put out one album, kind of broke up for 15 years, then put out another one, and now they're doing their third. It's probably my second favorite. Their first album is still like tops, but their second album is really good, but this one is just a little better. And then an R&B poppy artist that came out earlier this year, Nilüfer Yanya, her album Miss Universe is really good. And then I've also like Mavis Staples, We Get By is really good. Jamila Woods, Legacy is really good. If you like modern indie rock titans, The National, their new album is all right. And Schoolboy Q's new album is really good. I do like it. Denzel Curry's album Zoo is good. Speaking of modern hip hop, and I think that's all I've got right now.
We forgot to mention X Hex.
Well, we've talked about them before,
Yeah. I'm just saying, like,
but yeah, no. If we're gonna call out stuff that's come out this year, that's really good.
Or that we're listening to.
It's Real by X Hex is really really good.
And the album by Duel is Valley of Shadows. But check it out. It's really really good.
So that's the music we dig in at this point. And then last, most certainly not least, Hendrix Pasternak asks, there are a ton of indie games on Switch. What are some of your favorites? Indies in general, if you don't have one. How long you want to go?
How long do you fucking got? Jesus.
Well, we've talked about 3 of them at length here. 4 of them, I guess. So Downwell, My Friend Pedro, Katana Zero, and what was the other one we had talked about? I forgot.
So Downwell, you said Downwell?
Mm-hmm.
Zero, My Friend Pedro.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit.
I mean, I think maybe I was thinking of Cadence of Hyrule, but that's not one. I don't know if you want to call that an indie game. It's indie-ish.
I call it indie because he developed it independently. He just used the IP of Nintendo.
Okay, all right.
I don't know, but I mean, it also depends on what you like,
right? And
it also, like, what's your budget? So if you're looking for some quick stuff that's going to fill a lot of time, like I feel Downwell is a great purchase at $2. Like that, you can get a lot of gameplay out of that.
Well, we have mentioned Crypt of the Necrodancer and Enter the Gungeon.
Right. Enter the Gungeon's really good. I am going mainly physical with my Switch stuff.
Okay.
Like Axiom Verge is an awesome Metroidvania.
Word.
You can get that. You could pick up Binding of Isaac, which is a cool twin stick shooter, which is kind of got the same layout as Legend of Zelda. You could play that. That is a lot of fun. The Gato Roboto we mentioned.
That's what I was talking about. Gato Roboto, yeah.
I think that's like $6. Ape Out. Ape Out's a lot of fun. Like they're nice, like little bite-sized games, and they're also like bite-sized and won't hit your wallet too heavy. Like I feel like if you were like, I got $60 to set aside, I'm gonna buy some indie games. You might be able to get 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Some really good indie games on there. So yeah, I feel like there's a bunch on there. Cave Story Plus, it's really
Hook.
good. Golf Story, Hook is really good.
Golf
It's a
Story is
good
really good
game. I mean, I could bust out my Switch right now.
I mean, if you want something that's it's not necessarily bite size, but it's a fucking good indie game. Hyper Light Drifter.
Yeah, there is that.
Baba Is You from this year.
Salt and Sanctuary is awesome.
Salt and Sanctuary is amazing.
Sky Rogue, which Matt turned me on to.
Oh man, Sky Rogue is good.
That's a lot of fun. Cuphead is on the Switch. I mean, I would recommend Blackbird. It's pretty cool. That's a cool little indie game. There's also what is it? Velocity 2X is cool.
That's on Switch?
Yeah, they released like the
fuck yes.
Yeah, so that's on there. They were saying if it does well enough, they'll do a sequel.
That's good. I hope it does. Fucking buy Velocity 2X. That game's amazing.
Super Meat Boy.
Yeah.
On here. The Mutant Mud game is on here, which I've played. Hollow Knight is on Switch, which is great.
Time Spinner.
Time Spinner's on there, which is really good. Earth Atlantis, which you and I
jeez. Moose's second favorite game from last year or 2 years ago?
I think it might have been last year. But that's on Switch. A game that I've played that's pretty cool, and it reverses things. It's called Overwhelm, Overwhelm, and basically the enemies get stronger. So like you don't get stronger, they do, and so you have to like develop a strategy to beat them. But
that's cool.
That game's pretty cool. It's an indie game. I think it's like $5 or something like that. So like there's a bunch out there that you can pick up. That Mana Spark, and some that are coming up soon. Like we mentioned, Children of Morta. Sorry, it's coming out. Blasphemous is sometimes this year. There's another game called Heartforth Alicia, which was supposed to, I believe, be. I thought it was coming out like last year or the year before. I think he's putting the final polishes on it, but I think that's coming to everything. I think there's even going to be a Vita release. So like that should probably be on Switch. That'll be on PlayStation. It's got some really cool. I think what he's doing, and I have no problem with it, and he can take his time on it, but he's fine-tuning animations, making sure things are smooth, making sure the game just runs really like really well.
Okay.
So,
I gotta be honest with you. You've mentioned that to me like a lot, and I still forget what it is. We don't have the time to really go into it, but like at some point you're gonna have to really brief me on that. In fact, you should do that on the next show.
But anyways,
bring me everything you know about Heartforth Alicia because I want to hear about this.
there's a bunch of stuff out there that you can pick up on Switch. He did say Switch, right?
Yeah.
I'm not just saying that just because I'm like thinking of the Switch, but
right. Well, I mean, like, and Moose and I particularly use this as our indie machine.
Yes. Yes.
The beautiful thing about this, and I know PSN does this. I don't know if Xbox does, but I feel like the Switch does this in a more accessible way. Like they give you a trailer, they give you a preview of it right there. I know, like on PSN, you have to like scroll up, but that not everybody knows that. Whereas, it's very clear you can scroll through screenshots, and then one of them starts moving.
Yeah,
I really like that about the Switch store. And I think that's the one thing they do super, super well. So if there's a game that like you're like, oh, I might like that, I can at least watch an animated thing that sort of shows off what it is, and then that can be what turns you on or off. So definitely do that. trying to think if there are any others that I could recommend right away. You know what? For you, Hendrix Pasternak, as being one of my favorite names in the world, I'm actually going to, because we normally get the questions like the day of this show, and since I sleep during the day, I don't really see it till right before we go on. I'm actually going to write a list out of the games I would 100% recommend you buy and their prices for next week's show. So if you hopefully you haven't gone and spent your wallet after hearing this, but for the next show I will definitely do that and say, hey, I'm just bringing this list for Hendrix because he asked, and I know we get this question more often than not. So I figured this is what I'm going to say.
Well, here's also a tip. What I like about the Nintendo store over everything else, but I'm sure some other stores do it. PSN doesn't because it's pretty bare minimum, which sucks. But
right.
Like if you're like, oh, I like all these games, you can buy them throughout the year or whatever, or like prioritize and pick them. Go watch movies, go watch reviews, like check out stuff and not movies, but like videos of the games and see which ones really pique your interest. And then you can buy those and put other ones on your wish list. And if they're on your wish list and they go on sale, Nintendo will send you an email saying, hey, this game that's on your wish list is on sale, which is nice because you need to be like, holy shit, I forgot that was on my wish list. And you go and look at it and be like, oh, that's the perfect price I'm waiting for. And then pick it up. So.
Oh, I do want to say Swords of Ditto is on Switch now. You should buy that. That one's really good.
That was a Devolver Digital game as well.
It was. Banger from last year. So I think that's going to do it this week for Nerds Gone Rogue episode 151. Sorry about the giveaway. We will have it next week when Corey's back, just because he has access to all that and I do not. But thank you for hanging out. I was not in the chat tonight at all because I am a terrible human being. I apologize if you were in the chat and felt ignored. You were not. I just forgot to open it up, and by the time I realized it was too late and I'm too embarrassed. So so check out everything we do on nerdsgonerogue.com. This will be up. We'll be here next week, 8:30ish. youtube.com/nerdsgonerogue and twitch.tv/nerdsgonerogue. Hopefully if Corey's back, he'll have the Twitch stuff. You can find me at infinite_rewind everywhere. Moose, tell them about Nerds Gone Platinum and where we can find you.
You can find me at Sven on Twitter, Twitch, the Instagrams, and the PlayStation Network. If you do want to friend us, please put in that you're from NGR or NGP, so that because I've been getting some really randos lately.
Oh man,
like I don't know who you are, so if you want to add me, that's cool. Just make sure you drop in NGR or NGP. You can listen to me, Jeff, and Jason discuss the PlayStation platform. We usually go live Tuesdays around 9:00 Eastern Standard Time, and you can watch the show. And it goes live for podcast formats on Thursday mornings at 7. You can email us questions, comments, and concerns at nerdsgoneplatinum@gmail.com. You can also tweet us at NG_platinum. You can also follow us on Instagram. I believe it's Nerds Gone Platinum there. And I believe we took a little bit break from doing giveaways, but we're going to have a giveaway coming up soon. We haven't decided exactly when, but we got some cool games coming up, some physical collector's editions we'll be putting up to give away. But
I forgot to quit so I could win that Darkest Dungeon one.
I think a dude in Georgia won it. So we have to preface it that it's like in the United States. Like you only win. It's because the thing that we're using, if you have to pay to limit it to a country. And ship it, the game, it costs almost 1.5 times to ship it to where some of the people would be. It's just nah, we ain't paying that. So
yeah,
can't do that. That's
well, it's tough. Yeah,
it is tough. Yeah. But anyways,
so that has been episode 151 of Nerds Gone Rogue. Thank you for watching. And until next time, we love you. Banana and out. No, I'm not going to kill Moose.
You're welcome. I love you too, Pedro.